Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to each of you for being here today. Thank you so much. And Ms. Barta and Ms. Akers, who have joined us remotely, thank you for that. I had an interesting conversation with the Tennessee mom back during the campaign when President Biden was suggesting that he was going to forgive large portions of student debt. This was a single mom who had worked 2 jobs. Her daughter, who was now a college senior, had worked since she was 16. They had chosen junior college for her first 2 years. She would go to a community college. The daughter had continued to work in college. They had done all of this so that their hope being that she would graduate without the burden of student loans. They were diligent, they sacrificed, they saved. And she came to me and she said, okay, where is the fairness for somebody like me who has worked hard and saved and has done the right thing when you talk about discharging student loans? Now, I think that that's something that we do consider. Where is the fairness for people that have played by the rules? Likewise, we look at what has happened with private lenders and the federal government, the lack of transparency that is there, the lack of ability for people to find out exactly how they are keeping track of those loans, the interest that is due, the payments that are made. And Mr. Chairman, I think we all agree, and everyone can see from the hearing today, a need for greater transparency, a need for more diligent oversight in what is taking place around student loans, what is happening there, and how this does impact the lives. Dr. Akers, I think I want to come to you first, if I may please. As I've listened to the hearing today in your comments, we've defined problems, but I want to come to you, and then Mr. Chapman, I'm coming to you second for an answer to this. What do you think is a more effective alternative to student loan cancellation than what we have in front of us at present? And what is a more effective alternative to help those that are struggling to pay those loans? So, Dr. Akers, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I firmly believe that it's important that we have a safety net for borrowers to ensure that those who do everything they can to come out ahead but still have hard times aren't saddled with debt for the rest of their life. We have worked hard to create a system of income-driven repayment to provide that safety net for borrowers. Unfortunately, the system that has been created is not working very well, and there's tons of ways to reform it. Number one, it needs to be made simpler. Instead of a set of programs that student borrowers need to choose from, we need one single income-driven repayment program that students are automatically placed into when they enter repayment. So that's the first thing I'd like to see. I think we also want to reconsider the thresholds for below which students don't need to repay their loans. I found Ms. Gonzalez's testimony very interesting, and she talked about the amount that borrowers need to repay on income-driven repayment still makes standard of living unaffordable to them. That's something that we can adjust through the income-driven repayment program and the parameters of that program, rather than through a more aggressive student loan cancellation broadly, or a lenient bankruptcy policy.
Okay. Mr. Chapman?
Thank you. I agree with Dr. Akers in that the IDR program really should be reformed and have be simpler, easier to access, and much more clear to borrowers. That said, we also believe that...
so tend to it on the front end, is what each of you are saying.
Well, that's point one.
Okay.
Point two is I also think it'd be strengthened in the sense that right now it's a one-size-fits-all program no matter what your income is. And so I work with a lot of graduate and professional schools and students who have bigger debt, but also bigger incomes, and so qualify for IDR plans, which is great. And one of the criticisms of the IDR plans is that you can have someone making into the six figures and still paying 10% of their salary or 15% of their salary. And there does come a threshold where each additional dollar is more discretionary than those initial dollars. And so we've been looking at plans to have a graduated increase as income goes up
So you
to pay
would
more.
tier it.
Yes.
Okay.
And what you can do with that is you can use that money to support the struggling borrowers more and offset some of, do the government's
So
role as a
basically, you
backstop.
would close loop that money flow.
Yes, that would be
Okay.
one way to do it.
All right. I know Ms. Gonzalez had some thoughts. I saw her making notes. So would you like to weigh in on this? My time is over, but I want to allow you to respond.
Sure. I would just say that the IDR program, as Dr. Akers and Mr. Chapman have said, it's not working because it's got that 10 to 15% of discretionary income, which is just based on a number, but discretionary income for one person is not discretionary income for another because people have higher housing costs, have higher childcare costs, have higher medical costs. So that's a big challenge. And then I do just want to say that in terms of the bankruptcy reform, having this temporal discharge reinstated, it would help borrowers tremendously who are in a situation where they are at the end of their financial ropes because they're not running for bankruptcy just to get rid of the debt. There are other reasons as well.
Thank you all. I think the problem is well defined, and I like the energy you've brought to your answers on how we find alternatives and a resolution to this. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the hearing.